Hey, it's Andrew Downs. I'm proud to support Three Beards Media, and I would love to work with you. If you need merchandise for your company, organization, band, softball team, whatever, I can help. From name brand apparel to promotional items, large orders or small, online stores, and more, I can help your brand stand out. AKC Marketing is local, based in Johnston, and we are an employee-owned business, so our costs are low and our turnaround times are fast. But most importantly, we give you personal service to make sure you get exactly what you're looking for. Email me at andrew@akcmarketing.com or find me on social media, and let's make some cool stuff together. Now sit back and enjoy this Three Beards Media podcast.
All right, welcome in, and Drew, it feels good. Everybody's making field goal kicks against Nebraska to beat the Cornhuskers. So we did it. 8 out of the last 9, I believe. 13-10 wasn't pretty, but it happened.
Yeah. Moving on to the bowl game. No.
No.
Yeah. What was it? 5 first downs, 0 for 10 on third down.
Won.
Say that again.
And we won.
And we won. Yeah. What was it? 176 yards of total offense, and 72 of it was on the pass play to Caleb Johnson. Yeah.
That was flashback to last year.
It's probably a good thing that you try to get the ball to the best player on the field. You know, maybe a little bit more. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. But man, what a play! That was a great play. That is the last play that we ever saw from Caleb Johnson. Essentially, one of the last, I guess.
The last scoring
game.
play.
Yeah, the last touchdown. That's a pretty good one to go out on, I would say.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
So that caps off a really great season for him. I think he's going to end up in New York. I don't know for what. You still go even if you're not part of the Heisman. If you're up for any of the other awards, I believe you still go to New York.
Yeah, I think that what do they call it? Is it literally called the New York Athletic Club?
Yeah, the New York Athletic Club. Yep.
They do all of the college football awards the previous night.
Yeah,
like even 2 nights before that, I think, actually, and then like they show it as a pre-recording, like on the television side.
Yeah.
So
He'll be there for the Doak Walker. He'll be there for the Doak Walker Award for sure.
I think Ashton Genty is going to be there, and I also think Cam Scadaboo is going to be there as well.
We'll see.
There's not a we'll see. Those are the 3. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah, those are going to be the 3, but I like our guy. So great season by him. 8-4 on the year. Not where either of us predicted it. Not a bad season, I guess. Kind of a bad season, kind of a disappointing season, but not like an awful season. Could have gone a lot worse. There's a lot of ways this could have gone a lot worse. So,
let me preface this. Let me give you a question. If I told you Iowa had 3 offensive first-team all Big Ten players and only 1 first-team all defensive player, Big Ten player, how would this season have gone?
Yeah, that's tough because I wouldn't have expected that. I would say you're crazy for 1.
Because that's what happened.
Yeah.
I think you would predict that there would have been maybe one first team offensive guy and 3 first-team defensive.
Yeah, the other way. The other way for sure, yeah. I could have predicted that. And the one guy I would have predicted would have been a tight end, Luke Lachey.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been Caleb Johnson. That would have been hard to do. He was 3rd on the depth chart coming into the season. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess I would have said what happened to the defense, number one.
Yeah.
So, and the one would be Jay Higgins, which it was. So that makes sense in some aspects, but I would have thought that maybe Jamari Harris or somebody else or Nick Jackson or somebody else, Graves.
Let's just say this, okay? So like I could see where they put Jamari Harris on the 3rd team, not playing the last 2 games of the season.
Right.
I think that's fair. Just like not playing. That was a decision. That was not an injury. I don't care what anybody tells you in Iowa City or otherwise. Just not playing. So Castro, though, I think that's a snub again for the 2nd consecutive year. That's ridiculous. He's probably going to be a 2nd-team All-American again. You know, like,
yeah,
wasn't he a 2nd-team All-American last year? And then he wasn't even honorable mention in the Big Ten.
Yes.
Wasn't it something weird like that?
Yeah, it was.
No, bullshit.
Also, hey, the linebacker of the year in the Big Ten should probably be up for the linebacker of the year in college football. 2 years in a row, Jay Higgins has gotten snubbed for that award. Ridiculous.
So, like, who are the 3? Do you know?
Who are the 3?
Yeah.
I don't even, heck if I even know, to be honest. I think they put I think they put Stutzman from Oklahoma in there. I think they put somebody else. I don't even know, man.
Well, Oklahoma had to win something, I suppose. I don't know.
I have no clue.
That doesn't make sense. Like, I wonder when the last time that there wasn't what is the linebacker of the year? Butkus, right?
Yeah, Butkus, the Butkus award.
When was the last time the Big Ten was snubbed for the Butkus award? I'm sure there's been a Big Ten representative.
I think each of the last 2 years, I think the Big Ten got snubbed because Jay Higgins got snubbed.
Also, yeah, that's 2 years in a row.
Each 2 years in a row, the Big Ten getting snubbed out of that award.
That's weird.
Very strange. I don't understand it. I'll never understand the postseason awards, I don't think. Sometimes the decisions don't make sense. Like the Keith Duncan thing didn't make sense. When Keith Duncan didn't win Lou Groza, that didn't make any sense at all. So I don't know. I don't know if we can put a lot of stock into these postseason awards. It's nice when our guys win them, but I don't know if we can put a lot of stock into it because some of the.
No, I think you have a point because I mean, all those years that we've won the Thorpe Award, whether it be Desmond King or Josh Jackson,
yeah,
I mean those guys ended up being like 3rd, 4th round picks. Like a lot of the like national award winners don't necessarily end up being like 1st round picks, or like even stick in the NFL for that matter. Like Manti Te'o.
True.
I mean. So I think there is something to be said. I think there's some validity to your point that these postseason awards are like whatever, man. Like outside of the Heisman, who really gives a shit? Like the Biletnikoff, I would say, is probably the one that sticks because it's a skill position. You know, like so best receiver. Typically, those guys pan out, barring injury. I would say.
Yeah. Or sometimes they're just high production college guys that don't really make it in the NFL.
Sure.
They don't really, they're not. But yeah, like you're saying, I guess I've never thought of that. There's not a lot of 1st round picks that come from awards other than the Heisman most of the time.
Yep.
And then, you have guys like Cooper DeJean who don't win that award, but are probably better than Desmond King or Josh Jackson.
He's definitely
better overall, maybe.
He's better versatile football player. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's
now,
kind of
if you're just saying pure corner,
no, not pure
think that remains to be seen.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So, anyways, it was a week of walk-off wins for the Iowa Hawkeyes because we had Josh Dix hitting on Tuesday night as well, hitting a 3 to Barry Northwestern. Same score as when Bohannon hit the 3, which I didn't realize immediately afterwards. 80-79, same score, literally the same play. I was running the same play, it drifted to the other side, and there was a lot less time on the clock. Josh Dix hit it anyway. That was a great shot by him. I was 1-0 in conference play for the first time since December of 2020. So the first time in 4 years.
First time since COVID. Let's go.
Yeah, which we had a great team that year. That was Garza's senior year.
When we lost to Oregon when they got the first round bye?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So it was that year, but we had a lot of great moments that year. We beat North Carolina. It's just the problem was nobody got to see it. But that team had Garza, Wieskamp, freshman Keegan Murray, Bohannon, CJ Frederick, Connor McCaffrey, Patrick McCaffrey. That team had a lot of guys, mainly being Garza and Keegan Murray. Chris Murray was on that team.
Like when you list all those players off, don't you feel like we should have been rewarded better?
Yeah, I do, but the NCAA tournament rewards guard play, specifically point guards who can create their own shot. We haven't had that nearly enough.
No.
But yeah, so incredible shot by Josh Dix. But we might have that point guard in Brock Harding. His last 3 games, I saw the stats today, and I guess I didn't really realize this, how good he was doing these past 3 games. 17 points, 8 assists, 4 steals per game in the last 3 games.
Damn.
That's good. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Utah State and Northwestern mixed into those 3. UC Upstate as well. But Brock Harding hit some shots against Northwestern that I thought was like, whoa. If he's hitting that, we're going to be kind of a nice team. So nice to see him kind of pick it up, and I think I see why he's the starter right off the bat and why Thelwall comes off the bench.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a year under his belt too, right? And typically Fran trusts, players that have been in the program longer.
Yeah.
In critical situations, stuff like that. I mean, I think Thelwell is going to grow a lot this season, which will be good. He still plays a lot of guys, man. Like looking at some of these box scores going 12, 13 deep. I mean, it's a lot of minutes to go around when our starters are only playing 27, 28 minutes. And a lot of that is, one big concern, Owen Freeman's still getting in foul trouble, right?
Yeah.
He's got a foul problem. And he did most of last year as well. So I would say maybe that might be concern number 1. I don't know what you think. You've watched more basketball than I have, but I did watch some recently.
I would put his foul trouble. Yeah, it's a concern. I would say the more concerning thing for this team is the rebounding, specifically the defensive rebounding. I wouldn't put the Owen Freeman thing on high on the list. Yeah, you'd like to see it change. I think he's been better than last year. It's still shown up at times, but I think he's been better than last year. But yeah, I'm really nervous about the rebounding aspect of this Iowa team. And I was before the season, and it's going to remain a concern all year. There's not really an answer for it. So I would say that. Also, the rotation was a little bit shorter against Northwestern, and I think that was working out fine. for a while. We relinquished a 17-point lead because we kind of went cold in the second half. Things kind of stagnated. That was Northwestern was like successful in getting us to slow down. And this team thrives in transition. This Iowa men's team does. Kind of like typical Fran teams of the past. They thrive in transition. They want to get their looks in transition. But I do have concerns with rebounding, and that's going to rear its head, especially against Michigan, who we'll talk about in a minute.
So, like you said, you don't. So you're kind of alluding to the fact that like you don't think there's anything they can do to improve their rebounding, at this point. You think it's just kind of a physical attribute that this roster does not possess? Because I would push back a little bit on that, and I wouldn't say it from the physical standpoint. I would say, that there is an ounce of luck in the rebounding game of where shots are landing on the rim, off the rim, backboard, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of it's positioning that I think can be prevented by your movement while the shot is up in the air. So I mean, I think those are a couple aspects to the rebounding game that they can't just reach over your back in Big Ten basketball. They call that foul probably more times than any other foul on the court. If a player is in the right position, you're not getting Wemby grabbing it over your freaking head.
What I'm saying is they can't. Yeah, some of it is what you're talking about, and that's how it could marginally improve. I just don't think it's going to improve to the level where you need it to be necessarily against some of those stronger teams on the schedule, and Michigan is one of those. Michigan plays 2 7-footers heavy minutes. Our tallest guy that's in the rotation is 6'11" Owen Freeman, and he had 3 rebounds against Northwestern the other night. We're gonna need Freeman to play the game of his life on the boards against 2 7-footers. Dembele still plays. Part of that's a function of Traore not being healthy, I feel like. Traore needs to be healthy for this team, especially against Michigan, because we need him to be that starting 4 going forward. Dembele is 6'9", 6'10", and had 2 rebounds in the whole game. So your 4 and your 5 combined for 5 rebounds against Northwestern. No offense to Northwestern's big guys. They're not anywhere as good as what I was going to see against Michigan on Saturday.
Yeah. They're not world beaters, that's for sure. No.
Yeah. And yeah. So, and Michigan, it kind of like we talked about with Utah State, is a team that's good on the offensive boards. That was killer against Utah State. So too was missing open threes and free throws. But that's another concern for this team.
Oh, missing threes. Yeah, well, I'm glad you brought that up.
No, missing free throws. Okay. It's uncharacteristically bad for a Fran McCaffrey team. I think we're shooting 67% on free throws as a team.
Oh,
we are historically like 70%, like close to 70% or above as a team in the Fran era. That sounds like a small percentage, but over the course of a season, that's a large number of points you're leaving on the board there. And in a close game like we had where Josh Dix bailed us out with that shot, I got to see the game log, I guess. Feels like we missed a ton of free throws in that game, and we certainly did. But
wasn't it Brock Harding down the stretch to?
Yeah, 11 for 19.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was some Brock Harding misses. There was some Freeman misses. It was bad. 11 of 19 in a 1-point game. You make even 2 or 3 of those, which would take you closer up to that 70% mark. They shot 58% from free throw against Northwestern. Need to be closer to that 70% mark as a team.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I mean, it's easy to skew that number in the teens, though. I mean, 13 of 18, 70%, right? So like 2 more free throws is 12% in that case. So I mean, you get the larger body of work where you're saying, on the season 60, would you say 67?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a long-term concern, I would say. But yeah, in a 1-point game, yeah, you got to make more than 11 of 18. Yeah.
Yeah, and against Utah State, for example, 8 for 16 from free throw, 50%. Lost the game by 8 points. Now, we're not going to shoot 100%.
No.
But again, 12 for 16. And we're also used to getting to the line a little bit more often. I think we need to be closer to the Washington State level. For example, we shot 27 free throws, went 18 for 27. Again, not a great percentage there, but you shot 27. That was kind of a hallmark of Fran teams.
You know what's funny about that number? That's exactly that 67%.
Yeah. Yeah. But that would be more acceptable if you're getting to the line more often.
It's true. That also means more possessions.
Yes.
So, I mean, yeah.
So that's I think rebounding and free throw shooting are top concerns, along with the 3-point shooting. But some of that is a function of I really question how healthy Peyton Sandfort's wrist is. I don't really think it's healthy at all, and I don't know if it will ever be healthy enough for this season.
Has there been talk about this risk?
Yeah.
Prior to
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. When did it pop up? It popped up right before that Utah State game, and then you could see it. He had it all taped up. He took the tape off. He's been messing with it a lot, in game, and that's how you can kind of tell it's not right. And it's on his shooting wrist. Josh Dix is kind of going through this too. So our two best shooters are both struggling with wrist injuries on their shooting wrist. It's not ideal.
Yeah, I mean, if you told me that Peyton Sandfort was 8th on the team in 3-point field goal percentage, I would tell you this is probably a 500 team at best.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that is the case. When I was looking up season stats before tonight's episode, I'm pretty sure he's somewhere in that 7-8 range, only shooting 30% on the season.
Yeah, you're all over it. That's crazy to me, for sure. Yeah, shooting 30% exactly. Dix at 38%, Harding at 48%, but and Peyton's shooting 8 threes per game. Don't know if I like that necessarily. I would rather see Josh Dix shoot a few more. He's shooting 5 threes per game. I like that. Price is shooting 5 threes per game. I like that too because he's shooting 40% from 3. I would like to see Brock Harding shoot a few more threes. We've seen Owen Freeman hit some threes too. I like the capability that is shown with his range. I think there's plenty of scoring options. I don't think Peyton needs to force it. I don't think our offense is hurt that much by him throttling down his shooting attempts this year. I don't think it's hurt that much.
The games that I've watched hasn't been throttled down in shooting attempts, though. Where was he at? He was 0 for 11 in that Utah State game that I was watching at one point. Did he ever make one in the Utah State game? Was he 0 for 13 on the game?
I think he did. He went 1 for 13. He went 1 for 13.
1 for 13. Okay. All right.
But
I guess I haven't seen the throttle down that you speak of because it seems like he's still chucking a lot.
No. I'm saying they could. I'm saying they could or should. I haven't seen it yet, but they could or should in some of these games here.
I'm saying if this wrist injury is a thing, he doesn't need to be chucking up 13 threes. He can redistribute those to, like you said, Dix, Harding. I mean,
Price.
So
well. Yeah.
Folks that are obviously shooting better right now.
Even Freeman, I would.
And I'm not saying not shoot it at all. Then you're just giving away the threat of you shooting. But like, let's reel that into maybe 5 to 6 a game right now when you're not shooting well, and then it kind of looks better that you went 2 for 6 from the field. Like
right.
It feels better. Than 1 for 13.
Well, I mean, he was 2 for 5 against Northwestern.
There we go.
2 for 5 from 2, 4 for 9 from 3.
Who was 4 from 9?
Peyton Sanford.
Oh,
was 4 for 9 from 3 against Northwestern, so that was good.
Yeah. Okay.
That was good. So maybe that wrist is feeling a little better, but he still had the tape on and then took the tape off partway through the game. It's clearly still bothering him. So that's going to kind of be a storyline to watch for the rest of the season, I think.
And something like that is like it's between the ears too. If you're taking the tape off in the middle of the game, you're lacking confidence in your shot from the jump. I feel like, you know what I mean? Like what is going on? Like it doesn't seem like a committed response to what needs to happen, I guess. Either you wear it or you don't. You're never going to get used to it if you don't,
Right. Exactly.
I'm just saying shoot the same way the whole game for several games. That's when you shoot out of it, whether it's taped the whole time or not taped the whole time. Like I think a little of it's between his ears personally, but I mean, he's a great shooter. He'll figure it out, I think.
Yeah. And again, the offense can definitely feature Josh Dix a little bit more, and they did against Northwestern, and look how that worked out. I think that's totally okay. This game against Michigan, they have really hit the ground running. I expected a little bit more struggles with the first-year head coach for the Michigan Wolverines. They brought in Dusty May from Florida Atlantic, I should say.
There's words matter, Andrew.
Yeah, Florida Atlantic. Florida Atlantic matters because it's a guy who
reigning Final Four team.
They didn't make the Final Four last year. It was 2 years ago. They made the Final Four. I believe they actually got eliminated in the second round last year.
Okay.
But the big man Golden from Florida Atlantic followed to Michigan, and then they brought in a 7-footer from Yale, Danny Wolf. And it's kind of deceiving that he's a 7-footer because he can handle the ball and do a lot of things as a 7-footer that most normal 7-footers can't do.
So a Kevin Durant?
Not like that. I mean, a little bit more Chet Holmgren.
Okay.
More powerful Chet Holmgren kind of thing going on.
Okay. All right.
So that's why Wolf and Golden can play a lot of minutes together, and that's what they do. They roll 7-footers out there together. So that's something that I was going to have to really contend with, and I don't necessarily like that for Iowa in this game. Michigan does like to get up and down, though, so that will maybe play into Iowa's hand a little bit because Iowa won't shy away from that. They will welcome an up and down game. Michigan struggles with turnovers. Iowa's done a better job of forcing turnovers, specifically Harding and Thelwell. Each of them are like averaging 3 steals per game. So we do force turnovers. We do play some measure of defense. It's just our defensive rebounding is lacking.
Yeah.
Very much so. So I think transition defense is going to be huge for Iowa because they want to play. Michigan is of that analytical mold where it's either you go to the rim or you shoot a 3. No in between. They play the analytics on offense there. And they look for like all their 3s in transition. They don't want to play half-court basketball. So Iowa doesn't really want to either.
I was gonna say that could be some fireworks, or that could be a real shitty game. A whole bunch of bricks.
Yeah. We're gonna need the shooting figured out, and we're gonna have to have a good shooting night.
Yeah.
It's exactly what we talked about against Utah State, just in a different form, where Michigan wants to play more in the post if they're forced into half-court offense, but they have plenty of guys that can push the pace and shoot threes. So, and they have a great coach. So I think Michigan they went on the road and beat Wisconsin in Madison. Last night.
I did hear that on the radio
on Tuesday night. On Tuesday night, right after the Iowa game, I watched them beat Wisconsin in Madison. Wisconsin was the number 11 team in the country.
I'll say this about Wisconsin. I think they are perennially overrated. So but winning at the Kohl Center in a convincing fashion. Something to be said.
They won by 3.
Oh, was it 3? Okay.
Yeah,
okay. Not convincing fashion. Okay.
But still winning in the Kohl Center is still good.
It is. It is tough. I still don't care for these December Big Ten games, man. I just don't.
Yeah, and so that's kind of where I'm at. I don't really care for these December Big Ten games much either. Mainly,
it's kind of nice to get an early preview of what conference play will look like going forward, kind of just a little taste or a tune-up, if you will. But we're gonna turn around and go to Iowa or play Iowa State, right? So,
yeah, I don't like that for us. Because these other Big Ten teams don't have to contend with an in-state rival of that magnitude that quickly after.
Right.
I guess Wisconsin does play Marquette now this weekend. So Wisconsin plays Marquette. Indiana could play, who knows, Notre Dame. No, that's not that big of a deal.
I kind of feel bad in a way for Big 12. In their television deals, right? So this was the second top 5 game that Iowa State played last night that wasn't on national television. It was on ESPN Plus last night.
Right.
5 versus 6. The week before that, when they played Bruce Pearl's Auburn Tigers, 4 versus 5. ESPNU.
Right.
What are we doing here?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I would normally agree with you that Wisconsin's overrated. They do have some good wins. They beat Arizona head-to-head, where Arizona was 9th at the time. They beat what I think is a good Pittsburgh team this year. So I think, 11 was a little high for the Wisconsin Batters. So they'll come back down.
Arizona's another overrated team, because then they turned around and got beat by Darren DeRiez's West Virginia Mountaineers.
Yeah, Arizona's a tough team to figure out. They're a tough team to figure out. But I don't think that Wisconsin is going to be as bad as I maybe thought they were. So, but yeah,
I'm not saying they're bad. I would just say perennially, they're to me, death taxes and Virginia Tech football always being rated in the top 25 in the preseason used to be a thing to me. Didn't matter what season, what year, whatever. The two O's up through the low teens, it was Virginia Tech always there, and then they would roll in at 7-5 and go to the Duke Mayo Bowl and get beat, whatever. I just think Wisconsin's in that. I don't know what outside the one Final Four trip they made with Bo Ryan. I don't know, man. I don't.
The year they played for the national championship.
Maybe that's the year I was thinking, because wasn't that the year that there were 3 Big Ten teams in the Final Four? Ohio State was there.
No, it was Wisconsin. Played Kentucky, and then Wisconsin ended up playing Duke for the Natty. I forget who Duke played in the Final Four.
I know I could have swore there was a year there where Wisconsin and Ohio State were in the same Final Four.
maybe. But Wisconsin ended up beating that Kentucky team that was undefeated with Anthony Davis
Oh, yeah, that's right.
and DeMarcus Cousins and those guys.
Boogie.
So,
Boogie.
yeah. Yeah. That was an impressive win for Wisconsin, by the way.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So prediction time for Iowa men's basketball here. Preseason, I marked this as a win. I thought we would buck the trend of starting 0-2 with going 2-2. I don't feel that way just given how Michigan's looked. I thought Michigan would have a little bit more of a struggle, not look as good as they have. I think their strengths kind of play to Iowa's weaknesses, and I'm not sure Iowa's strengths play to Michigan's weaknesses. So we're up against it on the road here. I'm going to take Michigan 73, Iowa 62, something like that.
That's probably about right, Andrew. They have a tough time playing at Chrysler as well. Yeah, it's probably something like that. It's probably like, to me, 84, 74.
Okay.
I mean, I think they score, but I mean that this isn't a Fran offensive machine of old like the last few years where we're in the top 10 and what is it, offense efficiency, however you want to word it. Like we're usually in the top 10, 15 of that. But then we're also not in the bottom 200 of defensive efficiency either. So like we've kind of come to the mean here, I think, maybe, that we're
and that's
40s, 50s in both, maybe. I don't know. We'd have to take a look at the actual stats, but I bet it's pretty close to that on both ends. In the 40 to 50 range, I bet.
I think you're pretty spot on with that. If I look at the Ken Palm numbers.
Yeah, let's do it.
41 in offensive rating, 74th in defensive rating. So,
oh, damn it. I was right on the offense. But
yeah,
75 is a very good improvement.
Yeah.
For defense.
Yeah, if that is where we can stick for the season, I think we'll be in a good spot because I feel like there's room for offensive improvement and you can see the potential offensive improvement there. I don't think it's going to be, that top 15 that we've seen, but could it be top 25? Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you'd like your defense to stick at that level.
Oh, that balance would be a tournament team as it stands right now.
Every time I said this in the preseason, every time we finish inside the top 100 of the Ken Palm defensive ratings, we've made the tournament in the Fran era. So as long as we stay in the top 100, that has never failed us.
Okay. All right.
So anytime we've been outside of that, it's been hit or miss on if we make it.
Okay.
So
fair enough.
Yep. So it's a pretty good predictor. We got to keep watching that for the rest of the season.
Okay.
Yep. All right. Well, with that said, we are going to come back and talk a little women's basketball, huge weekend for the women, and a little transfer portal. So now a word from our sponsors.
Making great tasting bourbon requires the perfect combination of ingredients, conditions, and time. The longer it rests, the better it tastes. Revelton Distillery's new single-barrel bourbon is made from 80% corn, sourced 100% from Iowa farmers. And unlike mass-produced bourbons, each barrel of Revelton's single-barrel bourbon is unique, proofed on when it tastes best. As they like to say, it'll be ready when it's ready. And to ensure the highest standards of quality and flavor, owners Rob and Christy Taylor oversee the production and bottling. Every single barrel. Iowa-born, Iowa-aged, Iowa-bottled. Try the new single-barrel bourbon from Iowa's own Revelton Distillery. ReveltonDistillery.com. Whether you're buying, selling, or refinancing your home, or if it's simply time to renovate the one you're already living in, you need an experienced mortgage professional to help you analyze your financing options and to make sure the closing goes smoothly. And that's exactly what you get when you call Kyle Lehman at Wintrust Mortgage. Kyle's experience and expertise, coupled with Wintrust's rates and programs, ensures you'll get the mortgage that's right for you. You may even qualify for down payment assistance. Before you reach out to a realtor, call Kyle and get pre-qualified, empowering you to start shopping for the home of your dreams. Call Kyle at 515-473-0546. Kyle Lehman Wintrust Mortgage, 515-473-0546. In 2023, a crack Green Beret named Dan Douglas retired his military command and promptly escaped to a full-time career in real estate. Today, this man is wanted by home buyers and sellers who want to survive the process without spending a fortune. If you have a home to sell or want to buy one, maybe you can hire Dan Douglas at Green Beret Realty. You can find him at greenberetrealty.com. greenberetrealty.com.
All right, welcome back, and we are dealing with an undefeated Iowa women's team in Jan Jensen's first year. They're up to 17th in the AP poll now, sitting at 8-0, feeling pretty good. Win against Drake, win against Virginia Tech, win against Kansas. Just generally feeling good about themselves heading into a game with Tennessee in the Champions Classic for the women's side of things. We have it on the men's side now on the women's side. So Iowa going to be playing the Tennessee Volunteers, which we all know about Pat Summitt and the historical context, I guess, in which Tennessee women's basketball has kind of thrived at the Barclays Center this Saturday. So on, I believe, Saturday night, 6 p.m. So
Yes, it is.
Yep, good game coming up there, I think. Any thoughts heading into this one? Any things that you've liked from this Iowa women's team or are concerned about?
So I'd say the game on Saturday is going to be a nice measuring stick for them. I found it interesting doing a little research pre-pod that ESPN Basketball Power Index predictor predicts that Tennessee's a 70% favorite in this game. I'm kind of shocked. I thought it'd be closer to a 50-50 type deal, or maybe 55-45 one way or another. I thought it was interesting that the power index numbers are that far apart. Lucy Olson playing Saturday night. That's like big question number one, right?
Yes, that is.
I mean,
I think she is. I think they feel good about her playing on Saturday, but yeah, that's the game right there.
Then I would say they have a chance.
Yeah.
I would say they have a chance. The emergence of Addie O'Grady, I've said this a couple times to you offline. Like, man, where did that come from? A girl that was getting maybe 3 minutes, if any, last year, because like she was kind of a defensive liability. Or we need more scoring when Hannah Stolke running up and down the court. She had a hard time finding minutes out there, Andrew, last season. So the fact that she's averaging 17 a game, something crazy like that, 15, 17 a game.
I'm looking it up. 15
and 11 rebounds.
15 and 5.
15 and 5. I can't remember who was doing well on the rebounding front. Sydney Folter was averaging 7. Is that
yeah?
Right?
Folter was 7. Stolke was 7. Yep.
Stolke's doing what I thought she would do. Maybe a little less. Maybe I think she would be more of a 20-point player per game, especially in the non-con. But maybe she doesn't need to be. Maybe I wasn't reading the depth of this team, well. I think the scoring is more evenly distributed, like I did say last week on the pod, that it doesn't have to come down to a 22 anymore. You can get scoring from 4 different players on the floor at any time. It makes you more dangerous as a team, right? So, I look forward to the test on Saturday, I guess is what I'm getting at. All told, I want to see how good this team actually is. I mean, because some of these teams that they've been playing, unranked teams, they've been a couple possession games there, ultimately won undefeated. There've been a couple, 4 or 5 point wins there sprinkled in there. That wasn't wasn't all that convincing per se, but like a win's a win, survive and advance. It's that kind of game, I guess.
I think what you're talking about is the game against Rhode Island.
Yes.
69-62, but that was without Lucy Olson, and I think that really makes Iowa a different team in a lot of ways because she's been our point guard for most of the year. Aaliyah Guyton has really stepped up, though. She especially stepped up in that BYU game, and Taylor Stremlow. So I am feeling better because we're building some depth at the point guard spot, or have over the last two games. So I'm feeling a little bit better about the depth behind Lucy Olson if this goes on.
Sure.
But maybe you don't feel. Obviously, I'm much like you, where I feel like we don't have a chance if we don't have Lucy Olson on Saturday.
I mean, Tennessee. It's still Tennessee. I mean, I know it's not Pat Summitt's Tennessee, but like
they're decent. Tennessee hasn't necessarily been tested, and the first game where they were tested was against Florida State, where they won by 2 the other night. Other than that, it's been a lot of lower conference teams in Tennessee's arena. This is their first game away from home for Tennessee. So that's a huge factor. Even though it's not in Iowa City, I would love it if it was in Iowa City. That'd be great. But it's on a neutral court. So that's a factor. Iowa's has players that have played in some of these games, like Stolke.
100%.
Stolker,
yep.
Yeah. O'Grady to a lesser extent. So we have a little bit of that going for us as well. And I don't think Lucy Olson or some of the freshmen are really scared of this kind of environment either. They got that experience when we played Virginia Tech. And when we went and won over Thanksgiving weekend, they got to play on a neutral court environment. Granted, the competition wasn't phenomenal, but they got that against Kansas too. Like, we have a lot of neutral court experience. So I think Iowa has some things going for it that Tennessee maybe doesn't. Tennessee brings a loaded offense. They're number 1 in points per game.
Wow.
They average 95 points per game. So a lot of that is running up the score on
piss poor teams.
Yeah. I mean, they have 3 games where they scored over 100 points.
Holy crap.
Yeah, and it was like Samford and Western Carolina and Liberty. Their first 5 games of the year, they really ran up the score. Now, they played Florida State, and then it was 79-77, so it came down against a power conference team.
Sure.
I think this game's going to be a lot more like that. That kind of, I don't know about that kind of close, but probably not in the 90s. And I don't even think Iowa wants to get there, which is crazy because in the Caitlin Clark era, we probably would have been okay with that, but I don't think this year's team wants to play in the 90s.
No,
I think the games in the 70s.
I think the mid 70s is just fine.
Yeah. And that's what I'm going to predict. So I'm going to say Iowa 75 and Tennessee 68.
I can't remember what I picked in the preseason. I think I picked Tennessee to win the game.
No, you picked Virginia Tech. So, and then you didn't have any losses in the non-conference.
Okay.
I believe. I can pull it up real quick, but I'm fairly confident that you didn't have any.
I didn't have any non-con losses except for Virginia Tech.
Right.
Okay, I think you're right. You know what then? 77-70 Iowa.
Yeah. Yep, we both had wins here.
Okay.
So
And so it will be.
we don't have any losses until Indiana for me, and you had the Virginia Tech one. So we have a whole lot of wins coming up for you.
But that's the only one. And when we added our records up, those records that we had were like the last 2 seasons past that what was it, 5 and 6 losses?
Yeah.
Which were number 1 seeds the last 2 years. So, like,
right. So
I'm not scared.
Yeah, I'm not either, and I don't think this Iowa women's team should be either.
No.
So I like the start of the Jan Jensen era. It's going well.
I would say so.
It's going very well. So I think, obviously, as we all expected, we got the right coach there. No questions asked about that.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
So that's good. Good to see the Iowa women's team on a grand scale where it will impact recruiting in a positive way if they win. So,
yeah.
Transfer portal season. It's crazy. It's still crazy. It's even crazier because of these. What do you make of these newer rules? I guess we haven't really talked about it much. We've maybe mentioned it a little bit, but everybody has to get down to 105 scholarship players by, I can't remember what day, April. Everybody has to be like at 105 players like for next season. And it really.
What are the current restrictions? 120? What's the current
I don't think
number?
there were that many real restrictions on it because it was kind of.
You can scholarship as many people as you wanted?
You couldn't scholarship as many people as you wanted. You could walk on as many people as you wanted, really. So, like, it wasn't even in terms of every team's walk-on program. So that's really what this is doing, is it's getting rid of the walk-on program in a big way. Not getting rid of it, but severely limiting the walk-on program in a huge way.
And for Iowa, like specifically, I think that's okay. In a way, man. Like I think that's going to ultimately boost your overall talent because it has to, right? Like, if everybody's on scholarship, then the university felt like they earned it. But at the end of the day, to me, I guess, if they're not on scholarship, well, then why doesn't the university just pay them out in NIL instead? Like, what's going to prevent schools from doing that? Like, we're not going to put you on scholarship. You're going to pay for school. You're going to pay like your $20,000 bill. But man, hey, you're playing football, and here's $500,000 in NIL. So like, who the fuck's going to give a crap about $20,000 college bill? You know, so like, I don't. I guess I don't know. Although you're not paying player 106 $500,000, I guess, so that's not a good. That's not a good argument. I think you're just generally going to get better talent, and if you don't, then you're getting those walk-ons free education. I think it's a net positive, is what I'm getting at.
I think you're going to lose. You're going to lose something there.
Good stories.
Yeah, I was listening to Washed Up Walk-Ons earlier today. Kluver and Kevin Ward were having a debate. Like, I was only bringing in 2 walk-ons next year. Normally, they would bring in 10 to 12 in the freshman class. They're only bringing on 2, and that's because of these new roster limits.
Yeah.
So, and they were saying that's going to be the norm. It's going to be more of the norm for Iowa, where you're going to maybe get 2 per year. And they were thinking back to their walk-on class and who would have gotten left off, and it would have been like Kluver probably would have made it because they needed a long snapper, and they choose to have walk-ons as long snappers and not hand out scholarships to the long snappers. You know, so that's they want to fill that spot with a walk-on, not a scholarship. You don't want to use a scholarship on a long snapper. But like Drake Kulik probably wouldn't have made it, and he was our starting fullback for like 2 years. Bo Bauer would have made it, and that would have been the two, Kluver and Bo Bauer. And then you lose guys like Gervais, Jake Gervais, or Kevin Ward. They have to go somewhere else because Iowa can't afford to keep them because of the roster limits. So, yeah, we're talking about fringe guys, but Iowa has kind of used that to their advantage where we take guys like long snappers and coach them up and don't use scholarships. Or we have, our backup punter is backup a kicker, right? Like, it's not maybe the most impactful, but then think about historically guys like Dallas Clark. Like, Dallas Clark probably doesn't make the roster in this new day and age with these roster limits. I know, it's interesting. They weren't really thinking when they did this. Surprise. The NCAA didn't think through a decision.
I don't know how to feel about it in general, just the whole NIL, paying players, all this jazz, transfer portal, whatnot. What I do know, just coming off of the early National Signing Day, right, yesterday, did you happen to take a look at that at all? I know you said transfer portal, but I mean, this is kind of in the same basket. Do you happen to see Iowa's class ranking and the Big Ten and nationwide? Have you seen that?
Yeah, I have.
I have a problem with it.
Why do you have a problem with it?
Why on God's green earth are we number 12 in the Big Ten and fucking recruiting rankings again? Like, why are we behind? Why are we behind fucking Rutgers, UCLA, Maryland, fucking? I mean, even Wisconsin at this point because they're fucking trash. Like, why are we behind those guys?
Yeah, we're pre-planning for the roster limits. Those guys, the like, a lot of people sign 25, 26. You're gonna find out real quickly.
What did we sign? What did we sign? 13?
15.
15. Yeah.
15 guys. And the thing that we'll say is that look at Iowa was 12th in total overall score, but a lot of that's function of signing less guys. But if you look at the average recruiting ranking of those guys, it's better than some of those teams you mentioned. So you got to look at it that way. The quality of guys we brought in was significantly greater than those other schools.
I fucking hope so, man. Because I don't know how they come up with these ranking numbers then based on how many players they get.
Yeah, it's raw.
Times their total fucking score, whatever. Then you average them out. Whatever, man. But still, on any list, should we be behind Maryland, Nebraska, Rutgers, UCLA? No, I don't think so. Maybe I have a problem. Maybe I have a problem with the metric, Andrew, or how they math this fucking shit. Because
you probably do have more of a problem with the metric.
Because there ain't no way.
The way that it's built is the more quantity you get, the higher up you go.
Well,
you can make up for a lack of quality with a higher quantity, and that's what some schools do.
I can fucking sign 35 2-star players too, man. What the fuck?
Right. 15 guys for Iowa, 4 of them are 4-star players. That's pretty good.
2 of them quarterback?
No.
1 of them quarterback?
Don't think so.
Jimmy Sullivan's not a 4-star?
I don't think so. Unless he got bumped up.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to get off my soapbox on the early signing day, but we can go back to transfer portal. Big rumor mill going on out there. Two big names that have dropped.
2 big names
now.
Yeah, Miller Moss, Connor Weigman. But no, there's other names out there for Iowa as well at quarterback. Also, Richmond quarterback Camden Coleman So those are the 3 quarterback names. And then there's Cole Wisniewski, safety from North Dakota State, along with I'm missing someone else that we're targeting for sure. Those are the main names that I've heard out there.
Okay.
For Iowa in the transfer portal, but there's more to follow. Essentially what we've heard based off those names is that Iowa is willing to spend. Iowa is willing to spend on a quarterback. I don't think either of those guys will eventually get to Iowa based off what I've heard. I don't think either one of those guys are getting to Iowa.
I don't think so either, and I think I'm okay with that.
I'm in the same camp as you are. I think I'm totally okay with that. Sometimes it pays off to play the long game.
Yeah.
And I think there's some guys currently on some rosters that aren't in there yet. And we got to remember, the portal doesn't officially open for everybody until December 9.
Right.
Unless you're a grad transfer. You can do your thing if you're a grad transfer, and that's who we've seen go for the most part.
Godspeed, Cade McNamara.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We would be remiss if we didn't mention Cade McNamara somehow is getting another year and will end up in the Mountain West. He'll be at Utah State. We're just a feeder program for Utah State.
Following Spencer Petras again. Perfect.
Yeah. Spencer Petras this year, Cade McNamara next year. We should schedule games at Utah State.
All kidding aside, I think he's going to get another Power 4 chance.
Oh, my gosh.
I think he does. Like, whether that's like, Vanderbilt, West Virginia.
He does not fit those offenses. He does not fit those.
He doesn't fit fucking anything. I'm just saying, like, West Virginia doesn't even have a coach, so we don't know what that fits yet.
It's true.
Oh man, let me think around. UCLA?
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. I think he's Mountain West bound.
I think he's Power 4 bound.
Okay. We'll see. But anyways, I think I like the fact that Iowa is willing to be aggressive in the portal. You have to be.
Yep.
And kind of with James Rezar going out, he had already moved to wide receiver anyways.
Wasn't he a 4-star quarterback? Like, what are we?
Yeah, but there was a lot of skepticism by anybody and everybody recruited him. He was technically an athlete. He wants to play quarterback. It kind of reminds me of the AJ Derby situation. AJ Derby was listed as a quarterback, but
then he ended up becoming like a 3rd-string tight end, didn't he?
Yeah, Iowa wanted him to move tight end right away, and he wouldn't do it. And if he had, he probably would have turned out a lot better.
Yeah.
So it's where he's gonna try to play quarterback, but he's gonna have to go to a lower level to play quarterback.
That's interesting.
Yeah, he's not a power conference quarterback. So, David Eichholz said something that is now starting to come clear for me and make sense. And it sounds like Tim Lester has kind of insinuated that the quarterback room needs a complete overhaul. That's essentially what is happening. He's essentially purging everybody from the old regime of offensive coordinator and getting guys that he likes. Sullivan and Stratton are guys that they brought in this year that he, in a pinch, with the options that were available, liked. And they both had varying degrees of success, but that was, I think, Iowa, with who was available in the spring after when they hired Lester, Sullivan and Stratton are probably the best you could come up with. Because that's who else was available. I don't even know who else was available that was
Nobody
good.
even knew who Jackson Stratton was, really. So
I know.
I mean, like, to say that was the best available, I don't know that. You know what I mean? Like,
Well,
who would have known that?
no. Well, Tim Lester. So that's kind of my point here. Is it seems like Tim Lester is going to go all out to get guys that he likes, that he wants, that fit his system.
But let's be clear. Neither one of those guys have been world beaters. Let's just be clear here.
No, they're not. They're not.
They gave Iowa a better opportunity to win than Cade McNamara did. That's a true statement.
Or anybody else who was from the Brian Ferentz regime.
I mean, Marco Linez really never got a fair shot, but that's just me. I'm a little salty about that. But
yeah, but I mean, anybody that Brian Ferentz recruited hasn't worked out. Anybody that Tim Lester has brought.
That's because every 4-star quarterback that we fucking recruit fucking enters the transfer portal after the first year. Deuce Hogan, fucking like James Rezar, like all these people.
They've gone on to do what exactly? Nothing.
I got that, but here's the thing, though, is the compilation of the amount of stars these people get is a matter of a lot of people's opinions, right?
Yeah.
Not just Iowa's opinion. This wasn't Iowa saying Spencer Petras was a 4-star, 5-star quarterback. This was the national consensus, right? Of people that fucking do this for a job for hundreds of thousands of dollars. The national consensus was these people were 4 or 5-star quarterbacks. So it's not. So I can't say it's a recruiting problem. I'm saying, and I have said since we started this podcast, it's a developmental problem at that position specifically.
I think it's both.
They just didn't go from 4-star to 0. Not all of them. Every fucking 4-star quarterback we got ended up being a fucking dud. Every one of them. Deuce Hogan.
Apparently.
Spencer Petras.
Apparently.
Fucking, was CJ Beathard even a 4-star?
No.
Best one we've had since fucking Stanzi. Was Stanzi a 4-star?
Well, no, Stanley. Stanley was good. Stanley was pretty good.
Was Stanley a 4-star? Was Stanley a 4-star?
Borderline, high 3-star.
That's what I'm saying, man. Like,
yeah. So, but what I'm saying is, guys that Lester wanted that he brought in this offseason.
I'm glad he has the decision making. Is what you're getting at, and I 100% agree with you.
And I trust what he is doing in his evaluation more so than Brian Ferentz.
I mean,
that's not that controversial to say.
I was gonna say, what does that necessarily mean? Because I
guess what I'm saying is
we didn't expect anything less, did we? Like, it had to go up.
Yeah, well,
the trust factor had to go up.
I'm trusting Tim Lester, is what it comes down to, and not the Iowa fans' opinion of quarterbacks in the transfer portal. So if whomever Iowa gets, I'm going to be cool with it because it's the guy that, as long as it's the guy that Lester ultimately wanted. Yeah. If Lester wanted this guy, saw something in this guy that said this fits for what I want to run, I'm cool with it because he knows I trust his capability to come up with an offensive scheme that's decent. We did 28 points per game this year with not a good passing offense. 66th in the country. Give us a decent passing offense. We're going to average 30 points per game next year, at least. Yeah. We're going to be probably closer to 35 if we can find a decent passing quarterback.
I mean, I hope we do. I don't think they're either of the two guys that have been mentioned. Just for the fact that they're pure pocket passers, right? They're not exactly mobile folks. They're Cade
McNamara
2.0 is what people are worried about. Like, you're kind of making a similar decision here. Not necessarily that neither of them are coming off like devastating knee injuries, but like just kind of checkered past, bad runs in the first go. Reason why they're leaving their school, right?
Yeah. I get it. It's not the same. It's
other
not
people's trash isn't always necessarily somebody else's treasure. Maybe it just ends up being fucking trash.
You're going to be very surprised at the amount of money that Miller Moss gets, I think.
Yeah, Spencer Rattler did too, and you saw how that worked out.
Yeah, he ended up in the NFL.
Yeah, he's fucking terrible.
Yeah, I know, but still he did.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so there's going to be, I would say, patience for Iowa fans out there with the quarterback transfer portal noise, because I just have a sense that the quarterback that's going to be at Iowa, probably more than one, or probably going to pull in more than one, I think.
I think
maybe.
the one that ultimately starts 2025 season's already on the roster.
I don't think so. I don't think the one that ultimately starts is on the roster, and I don't think that person's ultimately in the transfer portal yet.
You have a target?
I do have a target.
You gonna break that here, or is it somebody else's news?
It's not. No, it's just speculation out there with the guy that I think would be a good fit. Preston Stone, SMU.
Oh, that guy's going. That guy's going to college football playoff. Why would he want to come to Iowa?
He got replaced.
Okay.
But has shown a lot of grace in that, and has basically shown up with his helmet on to every game ever since he got replaced. Played really well last year, and I think he fits the Lester scheme pretty well. So
Preston Stone, all right,
and he fits the Kirk Ferentz character evaluation.
That's
very
huge.
Well.
That's huge.
And he doesn't have an injury past that we've seen with other quarterback options.
That's good. That's an upgrade.
Yes, so there's not the injury concern. There's no character concerns. And there's talent. Just got replaced by a guy more talented who's more mobile.
Okay.
But
I like it. We'll see what happens.
He can throw. I would be excited. I'd be over the moon if we get Preston Stone.
Okay. I like it.
So, yeah. I don't know if, and I don't think he's going to command the money that Miller Moss or Connor Weigman are going to command, which is crazy that those guys are going to command a ton of money. I think he's going to be ultimately not going to have to, NIL won't be a huge factor for him.
And then you get to spend more on the rest of your unit, especially replacing 90% of your defensive production.
I'm more concerned about the offensive line.
That's true.
So beyond quarterback, I think you got to address offensive line, specifically left tackle. Probably the second need on offense, because we're going to lose Mason Richmond and Connor Colby and Jennings Dunker. We might get Logan Jones back. Logan Jones is probably the only guy we're going to get back from the starters. So we might need to attack offensive line a little bit more. So if we can find a quarterback that doesn't cost that much, I think Preston Stone is our answer.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I like your theory. We'll find out soon enough.
We will. So, yeah, I'm excited for December 9th when things open up. But who knows? Since his team is going through the playoffs potentially, who knows when he enters and all that kind of thing. So that might throw things off. But I'm sure there will be someone else emerge too. I don't mind the Coleman guy from Richmond either. I think out of the three options, I really like the Richmond guy the most.
Okay.
I don't know. And again, I don't feel like it's a significantly cheaper option. And if it doesn't work out,
I can swing by Richmond when I move to Kansas City and drop him off in Iowa City if you need me to.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Do it.
I can do that. I'll make the call.
And I think it wouldn't. We wouldn't have to break the bank necessarily. So therefore, we wouldn't if for whatever reason it doesn't work out, we don't feel that bad.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's kind of similar to Minnesota. They brought in Brosmer from FCS.
I really like Brosmer. I like how he plays.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I view this Coleman kid. It's kind of like a Brosmer potential. I was like, that would be perfect for Iowa, actually.
Yeah, I agree. I could see that. Yeah, that'd be a good fit.
Yeah, and you're gonna have a guy who maybe doesn't have the ego, who has something to prove because he's coming up.
Yeah.
You know. So I think I like that too.
Excellent.
Yeah, so I think we have good options that don't cost an arm and a leg.
Good deal.
All right. Well, with that said, you got anything else before we? Oh yeah.
Since our last podcast, Iowa won their 20th straight duel over Iowa State. So
nice.
That
Let's
happened.
go. Let's go. Was it close?
I think it was 20th. Yeah, actually it was. I think it was 23-15.
Okay, decently close then.
Decently close. Yeah, the gap is closing for sure, but 20 straight, something like that.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
Take that.
Oh, Three Beards Facebook page is back, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
We're back in the game.
Our Facebook page was down for a while, so if you missed us because our Facebook page was down for a minute, we're sorry. We think it's back. If not, YouTube is your friend.
Catch us on YouTube if whatever.
Keep YouTube handy just in case Facebook goes wonky on us again. So,
and that's all I'm going to say about that.
That is all I have to say about that. Facebook, you're great. We love you.
Yep.
I have to say that so they keep our page up.
Don't ban us.
Yeah, don't ever do that again. We didn't do anything wrong. All right. With that being said, good talking with you as always, Drew. Went a little bit long tonight, but we will be back in maybe next week. Preview Iowa State men's basketball. Talk a little women's basketball too. Yeah,
both of them. Bowl game.
Bowl game too. We can't wait, and probably have more transfer portal news next week too.
Yeah.
Transfers out, transfers in, that whole thing. So
absolutely,
plenty to talk about in December for Iowa sports. So, as always, appreciate you all for listening. Appreciate all of our sponsors. We hope you all have a great night, and go Hawks.